Well, hi, everybody. My name is Neil Pearson. Welcome back to the Road to Eternal Sobriety presentation. In previous sessions, we looked at the many factors that determine our behavior as we live in this world. We discussed the why do I do the things I don't want to do problem and gained some insight about the truth of our emotions. We looked at God's purpose for emotional pain and the role that our belief systems play. We looked at the importance of renewing our minds and why truth is so important to our growth. We studied the attributes of God and how His image is in us. Now, in this session, we're going to look at the natural state of man. The natural man is a person who has not been saved. In Alcoholics Anonymous and other 12-step programs, it would refer to someone who has not embraced the biblical Judeo-Christian God as the God of their understanding. Only the biblical plan that God provides can change us from our status as a natural man to a true spiritual man. Last week, we looked at the three parts of man and discussed how we are created in His image. God created an amazing piece of work when He created the human. It's a great design. On the outside, our physical body provides a means to relate to and live in our physical environment. On the inside, we find our soul, which is the seat of our personality. It houses the brain, which is where our faculties, called the will, also it's called the chooser, the emotions, which is also called the feeler, and the mind, also called the thinker, in the soul is where they all integrate with our physical abilities to allow us to live life as we know it. Now, in the inner part is our spirit. If we are in the natural state, the spirit has no connection to God. 1 Corinthians 2:14 states, "The person without the Spirit does not accept the things that come from the Spirit of God, but considers them foolishness and cannot understand them because they are discerned only through the Spirit." So, in the natural state, our own spirit is essentially dead to the things of God and only alive to ourself. Now, there is one more understanding we need before we can appreciate the awesome wonder of how God created us to be both spiritual and also to live in an immaterial world. God gave us the thinker. Everybody has one, but may not use it right. It is at the center of man's soul, and it provides an intelligent interface between the physical, the soulical, and the spiritual aspects of ourselves. So, our Creator designed us with a mind that is a wellspring of wonderful abilities. Having intellect is one, which means the faculty of reasoning and understanding. Our intellectual ability is comprised of our memory and a thinking mind. Now, our memory houses our belief system. The thinking mind gives us the ability to interact with our environment according to the beliefs and principles that are found in our memory and other qualities. Now, intellect refers to the ability of the mind to reach correct conclusions about what is true and what is false and about how to solve problems. Now, our memory, our thinker, and physical abilities are biological computer. We can store new information in our memory, and our storage capability appears to be limitless. We can recall information from our memory, and we can replace the data in our memory. We can also do some great things with our thinker, some real neat things. It is the central processing unit, and its instructions control how we interact and behave. Those instructions can be good or bad. All of us have error in us, and we need to be reprogrammed. The thinker is an amazing piece of work. These are the main faculties that makes us different from all the rest of God's creation. We can make decisions and reason things out. We can recall previous events and information we have stored. And what would we do without the faculties of visualization, imagination, and creativity? All wonderful faculties given to us by God. Our decision making process allows us to carry out free will. It is where choice becomes a reality. Life is abundant with choice. Everything we ever do, think, or say is a choice, with the exception, of course, of our involuntary actions. But there can be barriers to seeing choices. The main problem that we have is a lack of truth and a lack of knowledge in our belief system. Here's a real big issue that we all have: anger. Many of us have misunderstood the purpose of our emotions since childhood, especially the painful ones. Emotional pain is meant to tell us that we have a misbelief problem. And if we're blaming an outside person, place, or thing for the pain, we are simply lying to ourselves. If you missed our earlier discussion on pain, you could revisit those videos on the Eternal Sobriety website. Now, reasoning is drawing conclusions from information and facts. Our physical senses are a part of that information. If we have the right information and facts, we will usually draw the right conclusion. Well, the things that keep us from drawing the right conclusions, that relates to a lack of truth in our belief system, either due to a lack of knowledge or the fact that we have lies in there. We have these lies which we believe, but they're not true. And along with, of course, the sin nature, which we have always pulling us towards ourself, to be self-centered and to only be of service to ourself. Now, our recall ability draws from experiences and the facts stored in our memory, which we retrieve as we need it. Without recall, we would be dead ducks. Often our perceptions were wrong when the information was stored. So the information being recalled can be full of error. Thankfully, we have the faculty of reasoning to help us with that problem. Now, visualization and imagination, they're kind of complementary functions. Visualization is how we form a mental picture in our mind about someone or something. Imagination, it applies to the ability to visualize believable pictures and ideas of things that have never happened. Imagination uses creativity, the faculty of creativity, which means to bring into existence something new and different. Imagination is a healthy function to have, although it can create wrongful desires. Unfortunately, God did build us with the ability to think before we act. Not that we always do. The thinker's job is to reason out the proper action to take using the principles and facts from our memory. We know that if we have bad beliefs, it does bring bad thoughts, and that brings bad feelings, which if we make choices in that state, we're going to have bad results. So in the natural man, this is what we have. We have a body with its natural functions and senses and abilities. We have a soul that has a mind, a will, and an intellect. The human spirit is alive to himself, but sound asleep to God. The natural man is selfish and self-centered, and with his sin nature in charge, he always succumbs to the whims of the world. Satan's playground is always beckoning us to come in and taste worldly pleasures. The natural man easily sprints in. Now 1 John 2:16 is quite clear. For everything in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life comes not from the Father, but from the world. And we need to see and understand this. All our difficulties are related to the flesh. A word used in 12-step circles for the flesh would be self. So the flesh here is the fallen and corrupted human body with all of its lusts and problems. God created man's body as a pure vessel, but this vessel was corrupted and transmuted into the flesh by Satan's injecting himself into it at the time of the fall. Now Satan, as sin personified, is in man's flesh, making his home there and ruling as an illegal master, overruling us, our own thinking, and forcing him to do things that he dislikes. So it is this indwelling sin, which is the unchangeable evil nature that constitutes all men as sinners. So every wrong action, every wrong word, every wrong idea, every wrong reaction, every wrong emotion, every wrong attitude is from the flesh. Every difficulty in life is a result of our humanness, the natural man, and its flesh. The Bible's clear that our self is the problem. Remember our early sessions that we had. We are full of evil desires, lies, and deceptions. The reason we have anxiety is the flesh. The reason we have fear, the flesh. The reason we have terrible relationships, the flesh. The reason we have difficulty in marriage, the flesh. The reason we have difficulty in the family, the flesh. The reason we have difficulty cooperating with other people, the flesh. The reason we have pride, the flesh. All sin of every form, all wrong emotions, all wrong attitudes, all wrong actions, all wrong reactions, all wrong thoughts, all wrong words, and all wrong deeds all come out of the flesh. The natural man has a lot of problems. Most of us in recovery understand that. What we need is to become a spiritual man, to make that final connection to God, to come out of our sleepiness, to become what God intended. So, how do we do that? Well, Jesus Christ answers that question. When he is in Jerusalem for the Passover, about 30 CE, Jesus performs remarkable signs or miracles. As a result, many people put faith in him. Nicodemus, a Pharisee and a member of the Jewish high court called the Sanhedrin, is impressed. Wanting to learn more, he visits Jesus after dark, probably because he fears that his reputation with the other Jewish leaders will be damaged if he is seen. Rabbi, Nicodemus says, "We know that you have come from God as a teacher, for no one can perform these signs that you perform unless God is with him." In reply, Jesus tells Nicodemus that to enter the kingdom of God, a person must be, quote, born again. Now that's found in John 3:2-3. How though can a person be born again? Yeah, well, he cannot enter into the words of his mother I'm sorry, he cannot enter into the womb of his mother a second time and be born, can he? Nicodemus asks. Jesus responds, no, that is not what being born again means. He explains, unless anyone is born from water, that's our natural birth, and spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of God. And you'll find these all in John 3. Uh, so, as recovering folks, we really need God in his fullness to help us. We can practice spiritual principles and get better, but we need more. We need to have our spirit reborn to receive the full measure of God's help. We need our spirit that has been dead to God to become alive to God. We need our spirit to be reborn. Well, when our spirit has been reborn, we're given a new spirit and a new heart. It's a new nature which is now alive to God's spirit and provides the connection to him that allows his power to help us meet all our needs. When this regeneration process happens, we are transformed from the natural man to the spiritual man. And our next session, we will discuss the spiritual man and the advantages that we have over someone who is only practicing principles, spiritual principles, in recovery without having a connection to God's Spirit. It's a difficult thing to do. So join us in the next session. Thank you for your attention.